In 2024, North Texans turned to WFAA for stories that informed, inspired, and captured our attention. From unforgettable moments to stories that touched our hearts. These were the reports you watched, shared, and talked about most this year. We're going to count down the most viewed WFAA stories of 2024, a look back at the moments that defined our year together.
This likely a first for Caitlyn Clark, a megastar on the court. A $28 million deal with Nike just signed.
It was cool. I think everybody was being cool, leaving her alone.
Mason car, Logan, seatback pocket in front of you.
Yet, flying commercial.
I was on the aisle and she was on the window. So, yeah, right there, one of her teammates in between.
To play basketball.
My son-in-law is a huge basketball fan. He'll be thrilled and jealous that I got to see her on the plane.
It's a harsh reality players in the WNBA have complained about for years.
So for me, she's really brought the sport to light.
Even though passengers loved seeing Clark on their flight from Indy to DFW Airport.
And little girls want to play more because she's playing.
Stephanie Webb, a club basketball coach from Keller. She actually saw Clark doing promo work for the Fever while getting dinner in downtown Indy.
I kind of was telling my husband, I think she's following me. Because everywhere I went in Indy.
You see her in this commercial outside.
And then she's on my plane. Yeah, it's crazy.
When Clark played for Iowa, all chartered flights. But the WNBA only allows private flights for postseason games and some select regular season games like back-to-back contests. Could a household name like Clark change that? The league's collective bargaining agreement with the players' union can be renegotiated next year. Clark saying this before taking off.
And I think it's going to, cause some problems, maybe because the popularity of our league is continuing to grow and, having to, navigate travel with that. But at the same time, that's a positive thing.
The Fever amping up protection regardless. At DFW Thursday, security by Clark's side at all times.
My daughter will say, "Why did you get a selfie?" But I don't do that.
Clark's WNBA debut, a preseason matchup against the Dallas Wings, is sold out. It's why she and her teammates are here. Women's basketball on a meteoric rise, and the Wings, along with fans, loving the ride. In Dallas, I'm Matt Howerton.
Jonathan Avola has cooked for decades, but Friday something happened for the first time in his career.
We're just going to add a little bit of marinara to it.
Jonathan got a phone call from an angry stranger who called him a crooked, lying, dirty thief.
You man. You need to change your name and you need to close your restaurant, man. That was the first call of the day, and it was 350 of those calls throughout the day.
One after the other, furious people threatening to destroy his life and catering company kept calling. Jonathan ran to his wife, Amy, beyond confused.
Amy, I said, Amy, something's up. My phone is ringing off the hook. I keep hearing Keith Lee.
Keith Lee, Amy explained to her husband, is a famous TikTok food critic who recently visited Dallas.
That meat do fall off the bone.
While Lee was here, he stopped at a food truck, which eventually went viral after its owner was accused of misappropriating a big tip left by Lee. That food truck is not at all associated with the Avola's business, Seasoned Street Food, but it does have a slightly similar name. Angry people on the internet, Amy realized, confused the two businesses and would not stop harassing her husband.
From all around the world. I'm talking about from the Virgin Islands, Caribbean, Dubai,
UK,
Europe, UK.
Australia.
All those folks started posting negative Google reviews, quickly dropping Seasoned Street Food's rating from 5 stars to 3.
We had to shut the website down.
Saturday, the Avolas worked for 14 hours, gave away free food to anyone who would take it. Just to explain.
Keith Lee was not here, and we're not affiliated with the controversy.
Amy and Jonathan pray you heard that loud and clear and will stop calling unless it's to place an order. In Dallas, I'm Sydney Person.
When there's winter weather and the dining room is closed, this McDonald's in Louisville doesn't get many customers.
DoorDash is ready, guys.
Which is why, during last month's cold spell, General Manager Paloma Robles was caught off guard by a knock at the door.
Yes, he knocked the door and I say, sir, the lobby's closed, but the drive-thru is open.
I just asked, we just picked this man up from under the bridge and said we need a place to get warm and something to eat. Yeah, he was curled up right up here.
Doug Evans and his wife Kylie were driving nearby when they saw a man shivering in the cold.
I couldn't even believe it. I was like, is that somebody sitting on the side of the road? The human heart in me could not allow somebody to just sit outside in 12-degree weather. So I just wanted to do something.
So we ended up at McDonald's and she let us in.
Once inside, Paloma learned the man's name is Derek Mounter. Before, he was homeless. Derek went to college for graphic design, hoping to work as an animator one day.
I love you too.
Fortunately, Derek says he doesn't have drug or alcohol problems. He ended up on the streets after a breakup and a bad car wreck that nearly killed him.
I prayed to God every single day. I was like, God, please help me out of this situation.
Derek says he tried desperately to get a job, but oftentimes the only thing passersby gave him was their 2 cents.
It made me not want to live anymore, and it made me feel like God was not on my side anymore because of some of the things that they were saying.
After telling Paloma all of this, she had something to say, too.
And I say, I'm going to give you a job. I'm going to give you that opportunity that you're looking for.
She knew I had something better to live for, and she didn't want me to be in this situation anymore.
Paloma says Derek has been a model employee.
Hope you have a blessed day too, brother.
Showing up at least 15 minutes early every day.
You have a good day.
The entire team has made him part of their family.
It almost brings me to tears because most people don't want to give you a chance, you know.
What could happen if we all gave someone a chance?
It would change the world.
I think you'd find a lot more Dereks.
A lot more Dereks just waiting for us to open our hearts and let them in.
You have a blessed day too, brother.
In Louisville.
Hope to see you again.
I'm Sean Giggy.
Now we're locked in.
What you're about to see,
So that's going to be your aiming point.
White Settlement police say,
And you're going to press arm.
will be a game changer.
3, 2, 1.
A new tracking dart. Officers can launch from their patrol cars and stick to the back of a suspect vehicle trying to get away.
Now you can see it sticks, and it's very difficult to get off.
Officers then follow the car with GPS instead of chasing it.
You go do your thing. We're going to cool off for a couple minutes, let you cool off, and then we're going to come back on my time now.
That's safer, Chief Christopher Cook says.
Police chases are probably one of the most dangerous activities that a law enforcement officer gets involved in. They're very unpredictable.
A handful of times a year, chases involving his officers end with a crash.
And so, yeah, we've had some close calls.
The new technology from company Star Chase will allow officers to back off, hopefully leading suspects to slow down.
They don't feel the heat as much, so they return to more of a normal speed. They don't run a red light and crash into a family.
But it comes at a cost. Each device runs 20 grand. White Settlement is buying more than a dozen. The chief calls it an investment in lives for the public, the suspects, and his officers, who will still try to make the arrest.
Get the bad guy, maybe just kind of do it on our time and not theirs.
In White Settlement, I'm Cole Sullivan.
To friends, Scott Jackson was generous and reliable, a doting grandfather and the kind of dad who danced to make his daughter blush.
I would be like, Dad, you're so embarrassing. And I wish I could just tell him that so bad. Like, just embarrass me one more time, annoy me one more time, like, just bug me.
Balloons and a picture now rest in the yard where her father died. Jackson was delivering firewood Saturday to this man, who asked to remain anonymous.
As we're loading up the wheelbarrow, this random guy shows up and gets directly in my face, confronts me and accuses me of being on his property, being in his house, and he never wants to see us again.
They say they asked the naked man, later identified by police as Crisantis Amandi, to leave so they could all get out of the cold. According to an arrest warrant, that's when the 27-year-old grabbed a piece of firewood and hit Jackson in the head before turning toward the other man.
When he was pursuing me and attacking me, I was looking at death in the face.
He escaped and called 911. Court documents indicate Amandi returned to an Airbnb down the street where he'd rented a single room. A tenant staying in a different room told police Amandi, still naked and yelling threats, then tried to force his way into her room. Police arrived and say they tased the 27-year-old after he refused to follow their commands.
He took somebody that I'll never be able to call, I'll never be able to see again. And I just want my dad to get the justice that he deserves because he went out in a very bad way.
De Leon says she's torn over how harsh the penalty should be. She wants to forgive, she says. She's not there yet. In Fort Worth, I'm Matt Houston.
When I got the paper ballot, It had the other candidate's name on it.
These videos show Tarrant County voters claiming ballot issues on the first day of early voting.
Double check your printed out ballot.
Jess Glover recorded the reaction while campaigning outside the White Settlement Library, saying they told her this.
Because what I selected on the screen printed out the opposite when it came out.
To raise awareness, Jess says she allowed her videos to be posted on social media.
I'm not trying to spread conspiracies. I'm looking for the truth. It might be a simple matter of machines are faulty.
During the first day of early voting, Tarrant County Election Administrator Clint Ludwig says they processed 58,000 ballots. In a news release, Ludwig wrote, in one reported instance, a voter reviewed their printed ballot and found it did not correctly reflect his choice for president. The original ballot was spoiled and the voter remarked a new ballot. The release also explained they did have to fix a labeling error for the Office of Presiding Judge, Court of Criminal Appeals, on the printed paper ballot. After standing in long lines for early voting, voters say poll workers advise them to make sure they pay attention in the voting booth.
They asked us to double check, and so I did that and then triple checked it with the printout screen and then the printed list, and it all looked good to me. So if they flipped it, that's a neat trick.
Jess Glover doesn't regret making the videos, saying just like other voters, a lot is at stake this election. So
No matter who you vote for, that your vote goes through to the right person the way that you want it so that everything is fair.
In White Settlement, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Here we have Hannah Grace, Lucy Marie,
Rebecca Claire, and Petra Ann.
4 bundles of miraculous joy. The Sandu quadruplets making their morning TV debut. All 4 healthy, identical girls now home, while Mom Mercedes and Dad Jonathan adjust to their new normal as a family of 6 under 4.
The more time I spend with them and, get to know their little personalities, I can kind of see which one is which. I'm still learning them.
The quads are a medical rarity, both because the couple conceived naturally with no fertility treatments and all 4 babies shared one placenta. Mercedes says she was shocked when she first learned the news.
There I am at the doctor's office and I see on the screen multiple little things. I'm like, that can't be right. There's no way. And sure enough, pointed out 1, 2, 3, 4, and there were 4 little babies.
If you've ever had someone tell you that they're expecting quadruplets, your brain can't really wrap around that.
Mercedes grateful, she says, to have had a fairly standard pregnancy. But at just 29 weeks and 3 days, doctors at Texas Children's Hospital determining it was time for delivery, an emergency C-section, supported by their Level 4 neonatal intensive care unit.
When you heard them cry, when they came out, it wasn't just crying of, oh, the baby's here. It was crying means that their lungs are functioning. And that was just such a heartwarming moment.
And there's a whole host of other problems premature babies can have that we're always monitoring for. In this case, the quads did very well.
After a total of 86 days in the NICU, the final quad, Rebecca, was discharged with no medical issues, joining her 3 sisters and 2 older brothers, happily awaiting them at home.
I'm just so happy with how loving they have been with them, and it's just really made this so much more special.
Cowboy fans left here in the cold after the team was iced out of the playoffs by the Packers, and this was a team that many thought would actually make it to a Super Bowl, but they didn't even show up to play. So many fans say they're disgusted and want change.
I came from there and we lost. Y'all ain't nobody else, man.
Disgusted.
I am upset. You feel me? I am from Virginia. I flew all the way in today to watch this. I'm sad.
Frustrated.
We got another Romo on our hands. Choke like I'm
disappointed.
We need another quarterback, another coach, everything. It don't matter to me. It don't matter.
That's how Cowboys fans felt after watching the team implode once again in the playoffs.
We need help. We need Jesus.
Many blaming the coaches.
Mike McCarthy losing at home against the Packers.
Says a lot.
I think legacy gone, man. Like, you won a Super Bowl with the Packers, and then you go take over a new team and you lose at home against that team.
Without Aaron Rodgers.
You know,
it's embarrassing.
Others, the quarterback.
No more Dak Prescott. ASAP, new quarterback.
Dak,
Get him out of here. Trey Lance, the next stud. Let's go. Let's go, Rangers!
And many fans demanding change.
12-5, 12-5, 12-5. Who cares when we lose like this to the freaking Packers, who shouldn't even be here? It's disgusting. Let's get a real head coach, and if he can't do it for us, let's get a new quarterback. I'm tired.
Fans came from all over and dealt with the cold weather just to watch this mess.
We drove far for no reason.
Fans say they were fed up and freezing.
We're from Florida. We're freezing our off.
I still here since 10, just to freeze, to lose. Not worth it.
There was enough blame to go around as the Cowboys suffered one of the most embarrassing losses in the team's playoff history. And now fans are left disappointed once again. At AT&T Stadium, I'm Rebecca Lopez. Back to you.
Saturday afternoon, 21-year-old Lincer Lopez was baptized in Lake Waxahachie. An hour later, he drowned to death. He was a hero, Lincer's uncle Jacobo told me in Spanish. Lincer died, Waxahachie police say, saving a teenage girl also from his church group. They were enjoying the water after several baptisms. She was drowning. He sprung into action. He didn't think twice about rescuing someone else, his uncle said. He didn't think about the risk that he could die, and he did risk his life to save somebody else's. That teenage girl lived, was eventually pulled out of the water by a nearby boater.
I haven't even really begun to, it hasn't sunk in yet, like it's hard.
His name is Jacob Bell. He gave her CPR, then helped recover Lincer's body. A deeply personal mission.
I lost my brother that way.
Jacob's brother drowned to death when he was only 3. So his heart hurts for Lincer's family in more ways than one.
He was a hero. He had just been baptized and, gave his life to the Lord, and our family, and we pray for his family, and we pray for the little girl's family. And he was a strong boy, and they should be very proud of him.
There's no doubt they are. Lincer's uncle told me he worked hard in construction to send money to his siblings in Mexico. Lincer was so young, but his legacy will last. His uncle believes his story can inspire others to serve God and help people. If they can help, like my nephew did. For years, Michaela Thomas prayed hard, over and over and over again for a baby.
I struggled with fertility for a while.
So in February, when her most precious prayer was finally answered,
I was so surprised and I was very, 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 very happy, very grateful. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally pregnant. We've been together for 11 years.
Overjoyed, Michaela started documenting milestones on her journey to motherhood. But what would later happen was worse than anything she and her husband Joe could have prepared for.
This was not supposed to happen.
Their story starts in June when Michaela went to Texas Presbyterian Hospital 3 separate times over 2 weeks in deep abdominal pain, according to her medical records. During her 3rd visit on June 25th, Michaela said she was diagnosed with a kidney infection caused by a possibly untreated UTI.
She is moving so much. They discharged me and they said, just take the new antibiotics and you'll be fine.
2 days after she was discharged from Presbyterian, Michaela woke up again in that excruciating pain.
This pain is unbearable.
This time, though, she did not go back to Presbyterian.
Because I had been there 3 times.
At 26 weeks pregnant, Michaela instead went here. On June 29th, to a freestanding ER called Preston Hollow Emergency Room.
So I thought, I'm gonna go to the emergency room and hope they can do something about this pain and check on this kidney infection. Never at that moment did I think I was going through labor.
Michaela's paperwork from Preston Hollow confirmed she arrived in abdominal pain and with vaginal bleeding. Michaela said she was in the room alone as she waited for a doctor. Documents indicate a physician was notified.
Very scary, very scary.
Michaela said she then suddenly felt the urge to push. According to Nationwide Children's Hospital, kidney infections can cause preterm labor.
I was just like, oh my God, did I push out my baby?
Michaela said she pushed out her baby by herself. and that her baby rolled off the bed onto the floor. She filmed what happened next, and I need to warn you, it is disturbing.
I'm gonna have to pick up your child, okay?
That is Michaela's baby, scooped off the ground by the providers who she says have now re-entered the room.
How many weeks do you think you are?
Michaela's baby was born in call.
Yeah.
A rare type of birth where a baby is delivered still inside the amniotic sac. She said she filmed this intimate moment.
So that's the baby?
Because she was stunned.
I was really in a state of shock. Is that the baby? It's dead?
It appears to be.
And it was just so nonchalant. They were examining her, but not attending to her medically.
May have had some genetic abnormality or something.
Mm-hmm.
It appears so. But we're still going to transfer you over just to get checked out and make sure everything, came out.
Michaela said the providers left again. She started recording this new video, caressing her baby girl, thinking her first time holding her daughter would be her last.
This is the only time I'm gonna see her in the flesh. I'm going to record it and make sure I have all my memories.
Michaela picked up her phone a third time as she noticed the providers had returned and appeared to now be listening for a heartbeat.
And I'm sorry, you can't record with the doctor ending your photos, okay?
This is my baby.
I understand, honey, but...
The video ends when they tell her she cannot film. Michaela picks the camera back up for a fourth video. Her baby has been cut out of the amniotic sac.
Your face is not, I'm not.
I'd prefer if you don't.
But that clip cuts off when she's told again to stop recording. In a fifth and final video, the provider is seen doing chest compressions.
He said there's a faint heartbeat. I was like, oh my God, she's still here.
Michaela's paperwork says her baby was given oxygen after a heartbeat was confirmed, but that is not seen in any of the videos she took. The director of operations for Preston Hollow Emergency Room declined to answer our questions about Michaela's care, even when we told her Michaela would give written permission to discuss her treatment. The director said their ER follows, quote, all state regulations that every freestanding emergency room has to follow. Presbyterian also wouldn't answer questions about Michaela's care at their hospital.
It was painful to watch the video, I'll be real honest.
Dr. Melinda Morris is a retired OBGYN out of Houston. I asked her to review the videos Michaela took inside Preston Hollow ER and sent to us, and also her medical records.
It was obvious like they didn't know what to do with this baby.
Dr. Morris told me Michaela's baby should have immediately been taken out of the amniotic sac, should have been resuscitated and given oxygen without hesitation. It's unclear from the medical documents and videos we have exactly how long her baby was deprived of oxygen.
Damage starts to occur after 4 minutes. Yeah, 4 minutes. When these babies are delivered in call with that amniotic sac around them, they're like in a dry cleaner bag. There's no oxygen there.
Dr. Morris said freestanding ERs often lack the equipment and trained staff to respond to obstetrical emergencies.
These freestanding EDs really owe these obstetrical patients some warnings. They should tell them up front. There should be a sign at the desk that say, if you're an obstetrical patient, we're not adequately equipped.
Michaela and her baby were eventually transported from Preston Hollow ER to Medical City Hospital, where doctors saved her baby's life.
Out and just do that gentle pressure just like that. Yeah.
I'm so scared to touch her.
You're good. She knows you're her mama.
I thought I was saying goodbye to my first child, and now she's alive.
Her name is Heaven Grace.
God bless you, Heaven.
Michaela feels blessed to have her baby.
In Jesus' name, amen.
But she is also afraid for her baby. While Heaven's final prognosis is not yet clear, medical records say a lack of oxygen caused her coma, that she is in a vegetative state.
Hi, Heaven. I love you.
And that she may never fully recover.
I love you so much.
The Texas Association of Freestanding Emergency Centers told us that freestanding ERs routinely provide appropriate care for obstetrical patients and said they strongly disagree that pregnant women should avoid them. The Texas Department of Health and Human Services regulates freestanding ERs like Preston Hollow. I asked the state if their regulations cover how freestanding ERs should handle obstetrical emergencies. A spokesperson only directed me to the state statute on freestanding ER transfer policies. It says the facility must provide medical treatment within its capacity that minimizes risk to the individual's health, and in the case of a woman in labor, the health of the unborn child. Reporting here in Dallas, I'm Sydney Persing.